What do you do when life stops making sense? When the money is low? When opportunities close? When people slowly distance themselves? When the confidence you once had feels cracked? We live in a time where everyone looks successful online. Perfect pictures, perfect smiles, perfect announcements, new cars, engagement posts, business launches, travel photos. But behind many doors, there is pressure, there is fear, there is quiet disappointment. There are unpaid bills, silent tears, and questions no one wants to ask out loud. And that is why the story in the book of Nehemiah matters now more than ever. Jerusalem was in ruins. Its walls were broken down. Its gates were burned with fire. The people felt exposed and ashamed. In those days, walls meant protection. Walls meant identity. Walls meant security. Without walls, a city was vulnerable, open to attack, open to ridicule. It wasn't just a construction problem, it was a dignity problem. And maybe that's what you're feeling right now. Not just loss, but exposure. Not just delay, but embarrassment. Not just struggle, but the fear that everyone can see you struggling. Maybe you used to be confident. Maybe you used to have momentum. Maybe things were working before they suddenly weren't. And now it feels like you're standing in the middle of rubble, trying to remember what your life looked like before it fell apart. When Nehemiah heard about the destruction, he didn't pretend it was small. He didn't say, "It's fine, it will fix itself." He didn't blame others and move on. He sat down. He wept. He mourned. That detail is powerful because today we are trained to hide weakness, to smile through pain, to post strength while privately breaking. But rebuilding does not start with pretending. It starts with sitting in the truth. It starts with saying, "This hurts. This is not where I thought I would be. I am not as strong as I look." That is where rebuilding begins. Not with pretending, not with motivational quotes, not with loud announcements about a comeback, but with honesty. Honesty about your finances, honesty about your habits, honesty about your fears, honesty about the parts of your life that are no longer standing, because you cannot rebuild what you refuse to admit is broken. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not to shout, but to sit down in the ruins, feel the weight of it, and decide quietly, "This will not be the end of my story." You cannot rebuild what you refuse to face. If you are struggling financially, admit it. If you are emotionally drained, admit it. If your dream has stalled, admit it. Stop calling it just a phase when it has been years. Stop blaming luck when habits need to change. Stop pretending you are fine when you are exhausted inside. Honesty is not weakness, it is foundation. A building cannot stand on denial. A future cannot stand on illusion. And your next level cannot stand on excuses. After he wept, Nehemiah prayed. That order matters. He felt the pain. Then he sought God. He didn't rush into action. He didn't gather a committee. He didn't post complaints for everyone to see. He didn't start attacking the people who caused the problem. He went quiet. And that is powerful in a noisy world. Today, everything pushes you to react quickly. React to the news, react to criticism, react to trends, react to pressure. But rebuilding requires reflection. Silence gives you perspective. Prayer gives you alignment. Stillness gives you strength. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is pause. Not quit, not escape. Pause, think clearly, pray deeply, plan wisely. Because panic builds nothing. Anger builds nothing. Noise builds nothing. Clarity builds. When Nehemiah finally reached Jerusalem, he didn't gather a crowd immediately. He didn't make a big speech about his vision. He didn't promise fast results. He went out at night and inspected the broken walls himself. He walked through the rubble. He looked at the burned gates. He examined the weak points. He studied the damage. That's maturity. Before rebuilding your life, you must understand it. Look at your spending patterns. Look at your daily routine. Look at the friendships influencing you. Look at the distractions stealing your time. Not with shame, not with self-hatred, but with responsibility. Because inspection is not condemnation, it is preparation. You cannot fix what you have not measured. You cannot strengthen what you have not identified as weak. Many people want restoration without evaluation. They want success without self-examination. They want change without discomfort. But Nehemiah teaches something different. Before you build publicly, assess privately. Before you announce progress, understand the problem. Before you rise again, walk through the ruins and learn from them. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. And wisdom is what turns broken walls into strong foundations again. Before you rebuild your life, look at it carefully. Look at your habits. What do you do daily that is shaping your future? Are your mornings intentional or rushed? Are your nights productive or wasted? Look at your spending, not just your money, your energy. Where does it go? What drains you? What actually moves you forward? Look at your circle. Who speaks into your life? Who challenges you? Who quietly benefits from you staying small? Look at your discipline. Do you finish what you start? Do you keep promises to yourself? Do you show up even when you don't feel motivated? Not to judge yourself, but to understand where to start. Because rebuilding is not random. It is intentional. You don't fix everything at once. You identify the weakest gate and begin there. You repair one section at a time. That is how walls rise again. Then they began building, and immediately the critics showed up. They laughed. They mocked. They said the wall was too weak. They said the effort was pointless. They questioned the vision. Notice something. The critics did not show up when the city was in ruins. They showed up when progress began. Does that sound familiar? When you were struggling, some people were silent. When you were stuck, no one cared. But the moment you start improving, voices appear. The moment you try to improve, someone questions you. Why are you acting different? Who do you think you are? Is this even realistic? The moment you become serious, someone calls you extreme. The moment you protect your time, someone calls you selfish. The moment you stop certain habits, someone says you've changed. Of course you've changed. That's the point. The moment you step out in faith, someone doubts you. Not because you are wrong, but because growth makes people uncomfortable. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your focus exposes their distraction. Your progress challenges their comfort. And here is the key lesson. Criticism is often a sign that movement has started. If no one reacts, you may not be building anything meaningful. But when laughter turns into whispers and whispers turn into resistance, understand this. You are no longer standing in ruins. You are rising, and rising always attracts attention. The question is not whether critics will come. They will. The question is whether you will keep building anyway. Because walls are not completed by applause. They are completed by consistency.